Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's session. My name is Danny, and I'm the event planner for the New York Reactor Space. Before we start, I have a few things to go over. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. We encourage engagement in the chat, but please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional, and on topic. Useful links will be shared in the chat. The session is recorded and will be available on demand 24 to 48 hours on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. Which brings us to today's session. It'll run for approximately 1 hour with time for questions throughout. I will now turn it over to our speaker for introductions.
Hi everyone, welcome to another session for the GitHub Foundation livestream series. I'm super excited to be here with you all. Please remember that we have already other 2 sessions in the past, and this is actually our 3rd one. We are going to have next week our last one. As you can see, we have already shared a lot about what's GitHub Codespaces. So if you want to see it, it's already on demand. You can watch it on our YouTube channel. And today we're going to talk about how to use GitHub Copilot, especially if you're new to this amazing tool. You'll get like an amazing explanation how it works, what it is, how you can use it, and its benefits. And for our next session, and it's going to be our last one next Tuesday, we're going to talk about how to work with a GitHub repository and how to collaborate in a team with it. So moving forward with the next slide, please. So also very important to mention, especially about the vouchers. We will be sharing that as always at the end of the live stream. Please feel free to start doing all these steps in order to redeem the voucher. You can find them here in this QR code or in the link that is in the chat also, or here in these slides. You can see it. It also contains a really amazing guide how you can prepare yourself to take this certification. And so moving forward, please with the next slide. Thank you. So we will be, as I mentioned before, today we will be talking about GitHub Copilot with the amazing Ochuko. So please help me to give him a warm welcome in the chat. Yay! How are you doing?
Hi guys, thank you for having me. My name is Ochuko Onojakpo. I'm a technical writer at the GitHub team. I'm currently residing in Lagos, Nigeria, as all the way to Africa.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you very much.
Thanks to you. I'm super excited to see all the amazing stuff that you're going to share with us. So I'll leave it all to you. I'll be here in the backstage answering also questions. So thank you, Ochuko, for doing all of this.
All right. Okay, let's get into it. So yeah, this is something really exciting for us to talk about. GitHub Copilot. It's a really amazing tool that has, gotten into the world and has been doing a lot of good so far. So yeah, before we, continue praising GitHub Copilot, let's actually learn what GitHub Copilot is. And so we're going to be going into, Copilot and how to actually use it. So for this talk, our agenda is we need to understand Copilot. We need to learn how to set it up. You need to learn how to interact with it. You need to learn how to actually create prompts, which you would know what that means really soon. You need to learn how to, automate tasks with it to make your work way easier, and basically how the best ways you can use Copilot. And then at the end of this talk, we'll open the floor for questions and answers. All right. So understanding Copilot. First question is, what is Copilot? So yeah, Copilot is an AI-powered pair programmer that basically assists developers to make their work easier, faster, and better. So yeah, it's powered by AI, which is something that is popping right now in the tech space. and really exciting to see how that contributes to developer work and productivity. So how does GitHub Copilot work? We have our IDE. So when you're writing code as a developer, you have VS Code, you have Atom, you have so many IDEs that you use. And this is where you do the chunk of the work that you create, where you write your code, where you create all these beautiful programs that you do work on. But yeah, sometimes you want to do work easier and faster. So how do you achieve this? So Copilot works actually in your IDE and helps you make the work easier. So while in your IDE, Copilot takes a lot of information from your IDE, from your text editor, and kind of learns using those information, and those information are transmitted through HTTPS. HTTPS just means a really secure layer of transmission, so your data doesn't get exposed. And so when it's translating this data, he needs to know where to send the data. So first of all, it needs to authenticate you. So it needs to check, okay, who is this, and who are we actually doing this work for? And next thing it does, it actually sanitizes. So it just cleans up the data that you have from your text editor, checks, remove things like personal identifier information, which is things related to you, because Copilot is trying to learn and it's not trying to expose information about you. And then it's also going to just do some sentimental analysis to kind of remove abusive language and all those things that go against, community guidelines. And so we work with, Copilot works with OpenAI language model. And so basically what it does is that after it has cleaned up all this data, after it has sanitized it, it sends it to the LLM. So the LLM can process that and then remove all the information that is not needed, and then send back the suggestion that fits what you are trying to, your end goal. All right, so Copilot is really, really helpful, and we have done like a survey, across 2,000 developers, and majority of them say that Copilot is faster, has made them more productive. It makes them do more satisfying work that they want to actually focus on, instead of having to go over redesigning the wheel and having to do over really tiring work. So yeah, it basically improves your productivity through different kind of things like designing, planning. It helps you do different things and helps you focus on those certain things that you want to put your attention on. So you things that it helps you spend more time on, and then some of the things that it helps you spend less time on. These are some of the examples that we'll be focusing on, and if time permits, we'll actually, go in depth and have some hands-on on some of these examples. So Copilot has some built-in features. It has so many features such as code completion, has code explanation, basically different kinds of features that helps make developer work faster. And we'll be looking at some of those as we move on. So now we've learned that Copilot is very helpful. We've learned how it works. We've learned how it interacts with your IDE. But how do we actually get Copilot on our IDE? How do we set that up? So we have a bunch of things that are required. First of all, Copilot is owned by GitHub, so you need a GitHub account, which is going to be used for your authentication, so we can know who you are through your GitHub profile. The next thing you need is a Copilot license. You can easily get this on github.com as well. And then the final thing you need is a supported IDE. You can use Copilot on github.com. You can use it on, on standalone platforms. But for this presentation and this talk, we're going to be focusing on the IDE and a little bit of github.com as well. So you can see the prices just below for the different tiers of Copilot licenses. All right, so how do you set Copilot up? So the first thing you have to do is go to the settings page on your github.com account. Once you get to the settings page, all you have to do is navigate to the Copilot tab, and then basically enable all the features for Copilot below this features tab. So have everything enabled where you want to use Copilot, be it on your IDE, on github.com, or in the CLI, and then basically click on the IDE that you are trying to use so you can download the extension for that. All right. So we can actually see this being done here. So all you have to do is go to your settings, then go to Copilot, and basically you can see that mine are enabled. You have to enable yours on your end. And then if you want to use GitHub, you want to use GitHub Copilot for Visual Studio Code, just click on Visual Studio Code, and then that will take you to steps to download the IDE, the extension for it, and how you can actually also start your license. All right, so once you get your extension, all you have to do is install it on your Visual Studio Code and then authenticate, basically sign in from your IDE to your GitHub account. And once you've done that, Copilot can link your GitHub account to the extension to basically start giving you personalized responses. All right. So now we've learned how to set it up. We've gotten Copilot on our IDE. I want to start actually using it. So how do we actually interact with Copilot? The first way to interact with Copilot is through autocomplete. Basically, this means code completion. So at this point, you literally have no extra tasks to do. All you have to do is keep writing code like you do directly on your IDE, and Copilot is going to act like a pilot and basically, stay by your side and give you the suggestions that actually, fit the code you're trying to do. All right. So let's say, for example, we're trying to write a function to greet. So all you have to do is keep writing the function. You have to give Copilot some time to load so you can actually suggest the code you need. And though, you can actually, suggest more code that you need to give you what actually fits. So all you have to do is keep pressing enter until you see that, the suggestions are no more relevant. All right, so Copilot can actually also give you the power to actually pick alternative suggestions. So you can actually accept the one that actually fits the description that you want, or the suggestion that fits the code the best. So all you have to do is click on Control and then enter. And so you can get different suggestions that actually fit the function that you're trying to complete or the code piece that you're trying to develop. So you just scroll to the one that fits best and then just click on accept. All right. So another thing to note is that still without doing anything, still without any major settings, Copilot adapts to the way you write code. So let's say you create you write code in camel case, like you name your functions or your methods in camel case. Copilot will actually stick to doing that. Let's say you like to use underscores a lot. Copilot will stick to doing stuff like that. If you like to write more broken down functions without one-liners, Copilot would also stick to doing that in your suggestions. So yeah, it's trying to fit to your style to give you the best code that fits your standards. So another way you can actually interact with Copilot is by using comments. Aside from just writing code and just actually allowing Copilot to complete some of your code that fits what you're trying to build, you can actually specify to Copilot using the comments. All right, so let's say we wanted to do something more. We can ask Copilot, run this function. So great. All right, and so once you do that, you let Copilot run. So you have to give it some time. And then, that is generally the code that it suggests for you. So all you have to do is basically save this code. And so this is running. This runs the function that we have. And so let's say you wanted to actually get this out on, you wanted to print the response of this code. So you can ask Copilot, print this function response. All right, so you let it run for a while. And then you can see that it prints. We wrote the code for you that matches the comments that you created. So all you have to do is click on this, and you can see that we have hello world printed out for us. Okay, so aside from just using comments and just letting Copilot do all the work by auto-completing your code, you can also ask Copilot to kind of explain the code that you're writing, and basically, you can ask Copilot to actually do exactly what you want by actually chatting directly with it. So we do this through a feature called Copilot Chat, and you can actually access Copilot Chat through this. So you just go scroll down to the Copilot icon here, and then you click on Copilot Chat, right? And so you can basically ask Copilot that, okay, you want to, you can ask Copilot anything. You can basically chat with Copilot here. So you can ask Copilot to please explain what, this is very generic. You can ask Copilot, please explain what GitHub Copilot is. And, basically it can help you explain what Copilot is. And so if you open, another thing to notice, if you open Copilot Chat in a tab, Copilot Chat can actually use that tab as a reference or as a context to the work that you're trying to achieve. So you can ask Copilot Chat, please explain the code in this tab. Right? And you see it uses this as a reference and then basically goes ahead to start explaining what that code is. So you can actually chat with Copilot and actually just, kind of direct Copilot more to what you want as your desired output. Another thing that we have in Copilot is something we call agents. Agents are actually native to your IDE. So some of the agents that we have include the workspace agent, the VS Code agent, the terminal. These are some that are native to VS Code, which we are using as an example in this talk. All right, so let's see. Let's say we wanted to use the workspace. So we're currently in VS Code. So we're using the workspace tab. And let's say we wanted to know how to, run our code. You can ask, how do I run code? Yeah. And this is really important because for Copilot, if you have Copilot in your IDE, you can basically explore that IDE. So that's why you see a lot of IDEs are actually putting Copilot as one of their features, because they know once they have Copilot on there, a lot of users can basically explore and learn how to perform different functions on this IDE. So you can use the integrated terminal, which is this. You can actually run through this, or you can also actually use the button here. So there's also the at VS Code one, which is more native to VS Code. There's also the at terminal one that would actually reference context in the terminal. We're going to be looking at the at terminal one in more detail as we move forward. So another thing you can do with Copilot chats is using slash commands. So slash command basically is a way to kind of shorten certain functionalities that you want to perform with Copilot without having to write them out. So these are really common things that we do every day. Like we need help on something, it can help you get the help you need through Copilot chat. You need to explain the code, you can use the slash explain. You need to fix something, you can use that, and so on and so on. So let's say we wanted to explain the code in this workspace without having to explicitly type that out. You can just use this slash explain and run that. And you'll find that it still basically did the same exact thing for you, right? So this is way shorter, way quicker. It's something that you can have really handy when you're trying to work, really efficiently. All right. This is also an example of using the slash new command. You can find out more about the slash commands that are native to your IDE by going online. All right, so far we've learned that Copilot is really helpful with your work, and you can actually work with Copilot by writing descriptive comments. You can basically it can also auto-generate code for you, and then you can just go through the multiple suggestions that it has by pressing Control Enter and then picking the one that fits you best. And then you can continue asking Copilot to, edit what he has done or, modify the work till it fits the standard you're looking for. All right, so now we're going to be focusing on doing some actual examples of things that actually reduces work for us and allows us to focus on more productive stuff using Copilot. One of those things is generating unit tests. All right, so you can actually generate unit tests using Copilot. You can do that by using a comment, or you can do that using chat, whatever way you choose. But we can actually just use chat. And you can see Copilot is already suggesting that we write a test for this function. So all you have to do is accept what it did, and then basically save that. And then you can ask it to run the text function. So you give it a while to run. All right. And then, like always, you can collect only the relevant code. And so once you get that, you can easily run this, and you can see that it ran the test cases, and then actually all test cases passed. So we have assertions for different kinds of text inputs. This is a really simple example, but you can actually ask Copilot to modify this to your own use case. All right. You can also ask Copilot to help generate some documentation, and then we'll be using the Copilot chat along with the /doc slash command to kind of show this. All right, so all you have to do is navigate to the Copilot chat, and in Copilot chat you can use the the workspace agent, and then basically use the /doc command. And Copilot is going to use this /doc command to basically document the code you already have for you. So this is really useful for developers, especially when you want to stay in the flow of, writing the code and basically figuring out how your flow and then how your logic works. And so basically you would want to, let's say you don't have enough time to basically, do all the documentation that you want to do, but at the end of the project, you want to create a document where people can actually know how each function works or how the flow is and everything. Copilot can actually help you do that and break down everything using this /doc command. Another thing Copilot can help you do is to refactor your code. Let's say you were writing code really quickly and you were just trying to achieve an outcome and you were not considering, different factors during, the development phase of things. You can actually use Copilot to also refactor your code and make the structure more readable, for your team and basically work more efficiently. All right. So let's say all you have to do is basically highlight the code you want to refactor, right click, go to the Copilot tab, and then you can basically do fix this or just move down to refactor and then choose modify using Copilot. Right. All right. So all you have to do is accept the suggestion. So going over that again, move to Copilot, move to refactor, and then modify using Copilot. And then you can still ask Copilot to refactor this. And basically just accept that. So this is a better structured code that Copilot has refactored for us. All right, so after refactoring, Copilot can also, help you in different areas. But you have learned how to interact with Copilot through Copilot chat, Copilot comments, using the / command, using the @agents for your IDE. But yeah, we need to find out the best way that Copilot understands the commands you give it. So we're going to be looking a bit into what prompting is then. So prompt engineering is the process of designing and creating high-quality prompts that can be used to generate accurate and useful code suggestions with Copilot. So this definition basically summarizes what prompt engineering is. And you can also see a quote from one of the principal engineers at Microsoft AI Research says, "The art of coaxing the best possible result out of a large language model." That is what prompt engineering is. You want to get the best possible response, the best possible results that fits your expectations out of the language model. And you can see that sometimes we don't exactly get to the desired endpoint really quickly. So how do we get there really quickly? So let's go a bit into how to achieve this with knowledge of prompt engineering. So there are different prompt engineering techniques. One of them is zero-shot prompting. We have also one-shot prompting, which you can also call few-shot prompting. We have chain-of-thought reasoning. So basically, zero-shot prompting is where you actually tell Copilot to do something without giving it any examples, any context whatsoever, aside from just being in your IDE. For one-shot or few-shot prompting, you actually give it one example or more of what the desired result should look like or what an improved result looks like. And then chain of thought reasoning is where you actually explain to Copilot, okay, this is the phases I want the code to go through, or these are the steps to actually achieve my desired results. All right, so let's look at some examples of zero-shot prompting. All right, so all you have to do is let's create like let's say, write me a program to count prime numbers between two numbers, between two given numbers. All right, so you basically let that work. It's taking a while, so let's say Python code. All right, so remove this and then just let Copilot do the suggestion for the rest of the code. This is a suggestion for testing. So let's just create the first one, which is count prime numbers. So let's close the comment tab so Copilot can give us exactly the code we need. So the suggestion is taking a while, so let's just try using Copilot chat then. Seems like it's taking a while to run. So yeah, we can just basically go straight to the point and create bytes and just copy this directly to Copilot chat. All right, and you can get this in here and then basically print. And put the two numbers you want to count, primes between, say 1 and 20. Let's say 1 and 20,000, 2,000. And then all you have to do is run this. Okay, sorry, this indentation issue, and then you have to run this. All right, so you can see that there are 303 prime numbers in between 1 and 2000. So this is basically an example. This is just asking Copilot, write me a Python code to count prime numbers. No examples, nothing, just simple command. And this is an example of one-shot prompting. So let's say we wanted Copilot to actually show us the numbers, right? You just told it to count, but now you actually want the numbers, right? So you can tell Copilot, response, and then you can give examples of prime numbers. So starting from 1, so let's say starting from 2, 3, 5, 7, and so on. Seems like I'm having a little network issue, so let's try that again. All right, so this ran. And this is basically Copilot helping us using the example we gave to kind of modify the count prime function to give us exactly what we want. So this is an example of one shot. And if you want to make it few shots, you can actually give it more examples of what the desired response should be or desired output should be. So you have to do is copy that, paste that, and modify this to find primes. All right, so that was really quick. It was able to give us the 303 numbers that are primes in between those ranges. All right, so another example of doing a few shots is actually using like the workspace agent. This actually is few shot because you're actually giving context of where you want Copilot to actually, do the modification or actually do the suggestion. So that could be like in an open workspace, which is this tab. So this is considered a workspace. So you want the suggestion to be here. So that's an example of context. And so let's say you have some code already there, you're writing a really long program and you've written so many functions. Copilot can use those as context as well. So that actually counts as few shot prompting. Also doing things like selecting the code and then starting an inline chart is also an example of a few shot prompting where you're actually using the code as context as well. All right, and finally, you have the chain of thought prompting. This is, basically just asking Copilot that first of all, count the number of prime numbers. Second of all, return return every prime number. Those are steps that actually get you to the desired result. So you can do that through Copilot chat. You can actually chat with Copilot to tell it the steps to giving you your output that you want for your code. All right. So sometimes we might also have like issues where you want to also debug. You're trying to debug an error on your VS Code or any IDE that you have. And so to debug that error, you actually need context, right? You need to know what exactly the issue is. So let's give an example of using the terminal to do that. So this is an example of an issue. This is an example of a code that creates a Stack Overflow issue. For those of you who are devs, you would know a Stack Overflow issue is where the code basically never ends. It keeps running forever. Right. So you can see that the previous line repeated 996 more times. So this caused the code to end, to time out. So let's say you wanted to debug this. You can also open Copilot chat, use the terminal agent, and basically ask Copilot to debug this. So just debug the error. Okay. Okay, so actually use the terminal and then use the traceback as well. Or you can also combine. So let's first of all run this. All right, so this Copilot chart basically helps to debug this code. So we just selected the part of the code that created the error and then reference the terminal. And then you can basically ask at the workspace. You can use the workspace as well and combine that with the terminal as well. Anyways, but you can copy this code, which is the fix for the recursion error that we just gave Copilot as context in terminal issue, and then use that to overwrite this code. And so you can basically call the recursive function and run this. As you can see, the code actually now runs perfectly and doesn't run forever anymore. All right. So sometimes you might also want to optimize your code and make it run faster. Copilot can help you do this. A good example is the prime number one we were working on just now. So you wanted to find prime number between two really large numbers. So let's say we had something like 200,000 here, and you ran this. Or we had something like, let's see, say you had something bigger. Okay, and then you run this code to take way longer to actually give you the output that you wanted. Sorry, code is taking a bit to run. Yes, we'll
Hello,
reduce.
hello. Yes, we have some comments here in the chat. So everyone is very excited to be reading the refinements on code. But I'll back later. I'll give you the space. So Danny, please, can you remove me from the stage?
All right, so if you wanted to, let's say you wanted to optimize this, all you have to do is highlight this and then ask Copilot to refactor this, like we said before, and basically just so.
Hi, Ichiko. Just a little bit, can you zoom in just a little bit the screen so we can see a bit more better the code, please? Thank you.
Okay, this is. Let's see if I can. All right, so can you guys see the screen now?
Yes, we can see this screen. Thank you.
All right. All right, so we asked Copilot to refactor this, and we have a brand new code, new and improved, and we can see that by running this ran way faster than the very first one that took more time to load. All right, so that is just like an example of Copilot optimizing the code that you have for better efficiency. And also you can find that this one also looks way more structured than the first one that we had. All right, so since I've looked at debugging and troubleshooting, we see that Copilot is very good at doing this. Some of the things that we didn't look at is doing code analysis. You can actually ask Copilot to actually tell you how long the code takes to run. You can ask Copilot to do things like, be more interactive while you're debugging. And so we've looked at testing, we've looked at documentation, we've looked at fixing, and also we've looked at explanation. All right, so sometimes you might want to also automate tasks with Copilot, and you want to basically stop, having to do those things, setting tasks over and over again. You can actually do that as well. So one of the things is for version control. Let's say you created these files and then you were trying to, create a commit using GitHub, using Git, and you're trying to save the changes and create a commit message, which is something that I know developers hate to do when you create code. Most people use really short commits, which might not be helpful for the team. So just to make sure that you do something like that really quickly, but also really efficiently, you can use that. So let's say we wanted to create a commit message for the autocomplete file. So just click on this magic icon. And then you can see it gives you a really quick commit message. And so you can just click on commit to commit those changes. Okay, now moving on to github.com. We also have Copilot on github.com, where you can actually do a lot of things. One of the examples of the things you can do on github.com using Copilot Enterprise, which is one of the new plans that GitHub just released. So you can, let's say we wanted to, let's say we go to like a really public one, a really public repo, and select anything. You can select any folder. And say, let's say you wanted to basically explain, you wanted to ask Copilot about this file. Copilot can actually explain this file for you. So you can say, explain this file. So it already takes the file as context, as a reference point, and then explains to you the code, breaks it down for you to understand more what is going on in this file. All right. And so let's say you were making like an edit to this file and you were going to push like a pull request. You are going to create a pull request for this. We're going to do something really simple since we're working on a public repo. All right, and then you commit the changes. All right, so you go back to the repo itself and ask to contribute. You open a pull request. All right, so you view the pull request. All right, so naturally you have like an empty pull request tab. And then you've already made some changes, right? This is a really small change, but usually for developers, especially the ones who like to push a lot of code at once, you can actually create a pull request summary that actually gives a very high level description of everything that has been done. So all you have to do is click on Copilot Actions, which is on this icon here, and click on Summary. So during this process, Copilot is basically going through all the changes you've made and basically giving a summary of what those changes mean and how they actually affect that folder. All right, so you can then update the comments. Also, I've seen how to explain code with on github.com using Copilot extension. We have also seen how to use the chat integration, the GitHub chat. You can always find the GitHub chat by clicking the Copilot icon here, or you could sometimes find the Copilot icon at the bottom of your screen, and then you can always interact here. You can always interact here to basically chat with Copilot about different contexts. So opening this without any reference, this just talks about the repo as a whole. You can also search through the repos for different folders and tag those folders and ask Copilot to explain, or any command that actually fits what you're trying to achieve. Also, I've seen how to search through the documentation. You can also use Copilot chat as well to ask it an information about one of the references that is related to a repo or an org. You can ask Copilot that, okay, is there a JS file in this repo? And Copilot can help you find that. All right, so you can also actually block files from Copilot. We know Copilot uses context of your whole code editor to kind of learn about the stuff that you want to do. But sometimes you might not want Copilot to do that. All you have to do is create a .copilot ignore file on the folder you're working in, and then just add the directory, basically like the whole directory to those files that you don't want Copilot to actually use as context. You can actually also set up a proxy. Let's say you are working with some information that is native to your business or a business you're working under. You can create a proxy by simply going to settings and then searching proxy. and then you can actually do that here. Finally, I think you can also disable different features of Copilot. You can disable completion, you can disable some languages as well. So something like JSON, or in my case, Python. So all you have to do is click on the Copilot icon here, and you can disable auto completion if you think it's too noisy for you, or you can disable Python or different languages as well. This can also help. Let's say you have a let's say you have a repo that you're working on for your team, and you have different kinds of code. You have React on the front end, you have Python on the back end, you have JSON, you have different kinds of files and languages. You can actually tune out those ones that you don't want Copilot to suggest for you, and only suggest for the ones that you're contributing for. All right, so you can also disable, you can actually create a .settings.json file in your .vs code settings that you can actually help you specify all the languages that you don't want Copilot to suggest for, and the ones that you want Copilot to suggest for as well. All right, so we're going to look at best practices. So I've learned about how Copilot works and everything. There are some really quick best practices that we have using Copilot. So let's just run through them. So first of all, Copilot, it works through LLM models, large language models, and it's trained, right? So sometimes based off of the data it's trained, it might be biased. So it also needs human intervention to actually pick what works best for you. Sometimes the suggestions might be suboptimal, sometimes might be best. Also, kind of quality assurance pipelines, maybe like a CI/CD framework on your repo that actually blocks certain suggestions, or checks if certain suggestions actually fit a standard for a business repo or like a team. So for some actions, set your clear goals, provide detailed instructions, refine your feedback. You be very creative. Always chat with Copilot. Put really creative comments to help Copilot give you what you want. Don't rely blindly. Don't disregard your privacy. Don't put in your secrets there. Although Copilot is going to filter that for you, but it's also really best practice to not do things like that. Don't expect instant perfection, and don't engage in unethical use. All right, you can also see some prompting best practices here as well. So finally, we're going to just be reviewing the GitHub certification program. So we have the GitHub Foundation, GitHub Actions, GitHub Advanced Security, GitHub Admin, and GitHub Copilot, which is coming soon. So the Copilot is not yet available, but it's currently in the works, and you'll be able to get a certification that actually shows people in the real world that you have the skills necessary to, to actually do the job in the certain areas of work. So you can actually register for GitHub certifications today on the website. And you can also get some study materials from Microsoft Learn, LinkedIn Learn, and also Pluralsight. So you can use these materials to prepare for the exams. So this is the recap of our day's learning. I'll leave this on the screen, and I'll pass it on back. I'll pass it back so they can take it over from here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ochuko. Thank you so much for
Thank you
sharing
so
all.
much.
Okay, so
Okay. Oh,
awesome.
sorry, Abril. I think we are talking at the same time. So
No worries.
please go ahead. We have some great stuff here to share with the community, right?
Yes, definitely. This is some great stuff in the community, and I think we are super excited to be sharing more information about the vouchers. So first, I don't know, since
Yes. So we are going to post here. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I think my internet is a bit
No
low
worries.
here.
It's totally okay. I think we have some technical issues, but it's totally fine. Um, I'll be answering some questions here in the chat as well. But as always, please remember to visit the link that we're sharing right now on the slides that you see right now is aka.ms/ GitHub certification. We have been sharing it on the chat, and we will be sharing that as well. And actually, we are going to share the new code that is we'll be sharing it here, so you can use it to redeem these vouchers, so you can get certified on the GitHub Foundation certification. So just give us a sec. We will be sharing that. Actually, it's not in the chat, the code, as you can see. Um, because it's literally in the chat. Okay, great.
Yes, the Microsoft Reactor channel are really posted in the chat. So basically, we have two codes in the sessions. So you can read then your certification with the code here in the screen. And also, if we have tons of people here in the session and you can't redeem your certification with this code, you can just copy and paste the same code that Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel is sharing here in the chat. Also, I think it's important to recap the study guide where we have the whole Microsoft Learning modules aligned with GitHub Foundation's certification, and also the step by step to redeem your certification for free. So Abril is doing an animation here in the camera just to highlight the code. So we have, I think, more than 200, right, Abril, here in the session, and we already enable both codes to redeem the certification. So I think this is a great gift, right, Abril?
Yeah, I think it's an amazing gift. So please, if you are going to use it, just use this code, please. This will help you to redeem your a free voucher, so you can present and take the certification. And as Cynthia just mentioned, please follow the study plan that we have here in the blog post. It will definitely help you to get certified. So yeah, if you have any questions, please let us know. And thank you all for joining.
Yes, and next week we have our last session about collaboration on GitHub, and this session will be very special because we are going to host Corey, one of the creators of the generative AI for beginners. Is one of the most popular trainings we have about AI, generative AI right now at Microsoft, and potentially will be a great session for you all to learn more about collaboration, community, and of course, at the end, we are going to share our last voucher with more certifications from GitHub to you all. So thank you so much for joining us today, and see you next week. Bye bye, Abril.
Bye. Thank you all for joining. Please remember that this code is for the GitHub Foundation certificate. And so thank you. See you next week.